Welcome to the Washed Up Managers Podcast. I'm your co-host, Danny Grant, and with me is my great co-host, Teddy Lecce. Today, we introduce our third co-host, Philip Shankman. Phil served as the men's basketball and men's lacrosse team manager at Curry College, and he'll be joining us as our permanent third co-host. Phil, thank you for finally joining us.
It's been a long time coming, so nice to finally be here.
Thank you, and we look forward to your participation and what you have to contribute to our podcast from this day forward. So, Phil, I want to ask you one question, which will get us off running. How did your journey start as being a team manager? Where did it all start for you?
So we got to go back a long time to, I think it was third grade when I was playing YMCA basketball. I had the opportunity, I was offered the chance to manage a youth football team and ended up taking the opportunity. It was a very fun experience because I never had the opportunity to be around football before. And it was really cool to learn that you can help out with athletics, even if you are not participating as an athlete. After I graduated middle school, I did this experience from, if I remember correctly, 4th grade to 8th grade. I stopped managing, and I primarily focused on running cross country, running track and field, as well as participating in theater and music throughout my high school experience. Where I'm from, I wasn't really given the opportunity to manage in high school. I was fine with that because my theater opportunities was very demanding, very time consuming. And it took a lot of time and effort to prepare for the auditions, make sure I was staying at the correct standard that I had to be able to participate in a very competitive theater department, as well as participating in track and field and cross country is its own time commitment in itself, which is just as intense. Add in, I wanted to try and receive a 4.0 GPA throughout high school, and I didn't feel like I had the time nor the ability to partake in managing in high school. And again, as I said, I wasn't given the opportunity. When I got to Curry, my sophomore year, I was fully remote my freshman year, and I was struggling to make friends my freshman year, obviously, because I was remote because of the coronavirus. And one of my very first conversations with my pal professor in person was, what do you regret not being able to do in high school? And I said, I regret not being able to manage because I really enjoyed that when I was younger. So she sent a few emails, and the rest is history. Or so we think. Right before my first basketball season started, in biology class sophomore year, I ended up becoming lab partners with a lacrosse player. And as soon as he found out that I was managing basketball and we became friends, he tried to convince me to manage lacrosse. And I wasn't sure because I didn't know yet how basketball was going to go. And I was just trying to get adjusted to being on a college campus full time. I had never lived away from home for a long period of time before sophomore year at Curry. So I was trying to adjust to that. The moment that sold me on managing lacrosse was that this lacrosse player and a bunch of the guys came to my very first conference game as the men's basketball manager. And every time we scored, the guys made this little fill sign. And they put the fill sign, they held the fill sign up in the air, high enough for me to see from where I was sitting on the bench. I remember one of the coaches being like, "Phil, do you see that?" And I just started smiling as soon as I noticed that sign. I have to say, though, after getting the job in February, after men's basketball was eliminated in the play-in game, I had no clue that I would be co-managing. As we all know, basketball was a solo manager sport. So I was doing everything myself. I had no idea if I was going to enjoy being a co-manager. I remember walking up to the field house the very first game that we had against, I don't remember who, sophomore year, that spring. And I remember seeing my good friend, Danny Grant, standing, I think it was to the left side of the athletic training golf cart, not go-kart. And I remember saying to myself, "Oh, it's Danny. He's probably the co-manager. It'll be fun." And it truly was. And the legendary Danny and Phil lacrosse manager team up was born on a snowy day, February of 2022.
Kind of bouncing off the making friends as a team manager. Do you think that there is a stigma or a social stigma surrounding being a team manager? Do you think people would look down on that?
I personally, when I first got the basketball job, I really thought there was a social stigma. But I've learned very quickly that if you're going to be a manager, you have to be yourself. You can't have this switch like you're acting professional one moment, then the next moment you're acting like their friend. It's not fair to the athletes and it's not fair to yourself, because managing is supposed to be a social activity where you're trying to make friends and you're trying to make lifelong connections and be a part of something greater than yourself. Because being on a team is about the connections and being on something bigger than one person. And I have to say that there is a social stigma, as we've all said, but it just depends on how you look at it and how you handle it. Because I feel like if people see people thriving in positions with social stigma, the social stigma around that is going to change. It's going to shift.
What is one thing you've learned that you take away from managing both basketball and lacrosse?
For me, I have to say, stop reading into social situations, as well as just enjoy the journey. Because I learned, especially this year, also having the opportunity to run cross country my senior year, that when you surrender yourself to the journey, when you let go and you tell yourself, okay, it is okay to not know what's going to happen, beautiful, amazing things can happen. Some of my favorite moments of my college career happened as a manager when I said to myself, okay, let's see what happens. Let's try and not control the scenario. Because when you let control go and try and enjoy the moment, you become a better person and you enjoy everything. You enjoy the little moments, the conversations you have with people, the non-game moments, especially as a manager. There's so many non-game moments that are enjoyable. Probably my favorite is just talking to everybody. Because whenever I would talk to someone with both teams, there's just so much that I've been able to learn just from talking to the players, just from talking to the coaches, just from talking to the support staff. I feel like the three of us have been very lucky that we've been surrounded by the best of the best. And it's really helped us realize that the social stigma doesn't exist. And that when you let go of control, beautiful, amazing things are able to happen.
Do you have a favorite game from either basketball or lacrosse that like you love to look back on?
Do you want my top 5? Because I actually have a lot of favorite games that I've had. My very first win as a college manager. At that point for basketball, we hadn't won yet. We were very close to winning in multiple games. And it was our first game after Thanksgiving, our first conference game, and we were playing one of the best teams of the conference. I will never forget that feeling of when we beat this team. It was such a feeling of pride getting over that hump, getting that first win, because that first year, I really enjoyed that group. It was such a fun group to be around and just learn from and learn the ropes of college athletics. And a favorite moment that happened after the game, Mr. Lecce, I think you know what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, but I remember.
So after the game, I bought 8 cheeseburgers from late night for my friends to celebrate my first college win. And I got back to my dorm room, knocked on Teddy's door in the hallway leading towards my dorm room, and said, "Teddy, here's a cheeseburger to celebrate."
It was a good burger.
It really was. And we were continuing our tradition of Gatorades after basketball and football games.
Mm-hmm.
And the talk we had that night just about the beauty of a victory, the joys, was one of my favorite conversations I ever had with someone during college, because it was, I have to say, the first time when both of us realized how good friends we were, and our friendship was fairly new at the time, because we just met 2 months earlier. And it was really cool to see how a friendship in college can develop to the best friend level very fast, very quickly. Another one of my personal favorite games, now I'm going to switch over to lacrosse. Our game against, it was a Saturday in March. It was the very first game Danny and I traveled to together when we were managing. It was on the Cape, and we won by 4. I will never forget what happened on the bus ride coming back to Curry. We ended up singing karaoke. And I remember Danny getting a standing ovation. What was exciting about the Danny karaoke standing ovation is everyone was like, Phil, you have to do karaoke. We all know you were a former theater kid. And then, right after Danny finished, I ended up doing karaoke to another standing ovation. It wasn't as good as Danny's amazing rendition of I don't remember what song, but it was good. Another favorite game of mine, even though it was a loss, was the game at Salve Regina that first season. That's one of my favorites because it was purely an amazing experience watching this team fight and show everyone that they need to be taken seriously and that they are an amazing team and that we can do anything that we put our minds to. It was incredible watching them work really hard against such a tough opponent. I really think we could have won that game. Danny, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was a close one.
Another one of my favorites was the final regular season game of that. You know what? Before that game that I was about to talk about, a favorite one of mine was right before that. We lost to one of the best teams in the conference by 5 goals at their field. Danny knows exactly what school I'm talking about. It's a school in Beverly, Massachusetts.
Endicott College.
It was a favorite game of mine because we were able to show the league and everybody that we need to be taken seriously and we can compete with anybody. You need to play us at your best because we will play you at our best. Then the game after, our last home game of the year against University of New England, a 15-6 win, was another favorite game of mine because it was the very first playoff clinching game I was ever a part of. I remember looking at Danny right after we clinched the win, and I was like, holy bleep, we're going to the playoffs. And it was kind of cool when you're teaming up with someone for the very first time that you guys were able to reach the ultimate goal in the first season working as a team. All right, another one of my favorite games. Now we're into my junior year favorite games. My favorite game for basketball would probably be junior year. My all-time favorite game is our last road game in Maine when we were playing the conference team in Maine. It was the first time this team has won on the road in a very long time. And a lot of major milestones for good friends of mine that were on the team happened. And just the pure joy from winning on the road was just so contagious. And we had worked very hard to win that game on the road. It was very cool to see that happen. What I will never forget is I usually sit up front on road trips that year for basketball when we were traveling with both teams to go to the conference game. I will never forget walking to the back of the bus with the boys and we were all just celebrating. And I will never forget grittying on the bus as the bus was making a turn out of that campus and just having fun with the guys before I was told to get back in my seat and sit down. It was just contagious because when you are having fun and joyful, that's what it's all about.
Definitely.
Another favorite now to junior year of lacrosse, because I've been very lucky, as you can tell, I have had a lot of favorite games. Because I've just been lucky and been a part of a lot of amazing moments. The Eastern Connecticut game, our home opener, was a favorite of mine. Due to the fact that we, as a team, went through a lot leading up to that season. And to watch us beat a very good team by 9 points in a home opener with a new head coach, learning a new system, a new staff, and for myself, managing solo for the very first time at home for lacrosse, as I was learning new managerial roles under a new head coach, was very cool, because that junior year season, my co-manager took a break to participate in an internship. And it was very hard for me at first to really learn how to manage that team solo because of the size of the team. So it was very cool to get that win. It gave all of us the confidence that we can do this, we can do anything. Another favorite for me of that season was the final regular season game in Boston. So the lacrosse field for the school in Boston that has a lacrosse team that's in the conference, you're in the middle of like a cage near the Massachusetts Museum of Modern Art, and you got to really experience it. We were down going in the halftime 7-4. And I remember one of the parents coming up to me at halftime saying, "Phil, I have a feeling we're going to win this." And I was like, "I don't think we are." And then we ended up coming from behind, down 3 at half, and starting the fourth quarter, it was 8-6. And it was really cool to get that come from behind win to close out the season. Another favorite. This is now senior year of basketball. I do want to say a favorite cross-country moment was my senior night at Franklin Park. It was very special for me to be able to have my close friends and the athletes that I managed there, because it meant a lot and showed how much of good friends I have that they would take time out of their day to support their manager and their friend as they tried to break an hour, which I hadn't done all season until they were all there, until that race. Because I'm a strong believer that when you have your friends in your corner, you can accomplish anything. When you have your people in your corner, you can accomplish remarkable things. Back to basketball. I have a lot of favorite games in that season. So it's going to be a doozy. Our season opener is a favorite because we were down at a point in the game, and the fact that we rallied as a team to win and overcoming the hurdles in that game was pretty remarkable. Then we won again the next game in an amazing thriller of a contest. Some of my favorite basketball games ever to watch are ones where they're close the entire game. We were lucky that we were able to make a 3-pointer at the end to get a winning streak to 2. Then we returned home for our home opener, which those 2 wins are favorites of mine. The first one because the home opener this year for basketball marked my 20th career win as a manager. And those that know me personally and well know I have a friend from home with autism. That is the reason I got into special education. It's the reason why I learned how to play basketball and became better at it. when I was in second grade because he was a huge basketball fan and I wanted to be a better friend to him and get better at basketball, learn how to play basketball better. And to get that win during the Autism Acceptance Classic, because of my relationship with this individual, meant the world to me. And then the last game of that weekend, hitting a game-winning shot with like 5 seconds to go, and the entire gymnasium going nuts was incredible. Then winning another game was incredible. Then I was very proud of how we played in a lot of the losses this year because we were able to stick as a team and fight to the very end and show everyone that no matter if we won or if we lost, we're still going to give you a fight and we're still going to try. We're still going to put in the effort. Another favorite game of mine was the first Saturday of spring semester. We were on the road at the eventual team that would win the conference. And we ended up beating the team that won the conference this year on the road at their house on their senior day.
Is that Roger Williams?
Yeah. And just the pure joy from the fact that we were playing as one unit, playing as a team, trying to win was incredible. Then the next game we had at home, the next 2 home games were special because winning those 2 games and coming back from those 2 deficits and winning secured our spot in the playoff. And the first time in a very long time, men's basketball was in the playoffs. I'm very proud that I got to play a small part in helping get this program back to the playoffs. Another 2 more favorite games of mine, the basketball, were our game at University of Hartford. Even though we lost that game. I have a lot of family connections to the university. A lot of my family members went there and had significant contributions. And a lot of friends and family, because where I'm from, it's 15 minutes down the road, they all showed up. Kids I mentored showed up. So it was really special for me to do the skit in Connecticut. Then my last home game was special because it was senior night. And it was just perfect. Even though we lost, it was perfect. Every person I cared about was there in some capacity. If they were on FaceTime or if they were in person, like everyone that mattered to me was there. And that as well as I had to let one of my best friends break a rule that he made, even though I wish he didn't break the rule and wish he left right after the ceremony and didn't decide to stay the whole game.
Almost won.
But I'm happy he was able to be there the entirety of that game. It was a very special atmosphere, a remarkable game. I'm very grateful for that opportunity I had. It was very joyful. Now, it's time to the lacrosse, gentlemen. That season was crazy. Danny, am I right about that?
Yep, you're totally right about that. It was crazy.
Every single game was a favorite one of mine because we tried hard. It was close, and we tried to win. My all-time favorite game from that season was senior day, as well as the UNE game, because it was fun, and we won, and we tried really hard, as well as the playoff game. It was pretty cool because we ended up being there during the opposing team's spring weekend. And during the third quarter, there was fireworks going on behind us, which was a pretty cool, picturesque end to a remarkable season and a remarkable opportunity that we were very lucky to have. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
Very good.
Hey, you gave us a great answer. And speaking on the fireworks during the Roger Williams game, that playoff game, that was very cool. Even though given the final results of the game, and with that being like the final game of our managerial careers at Curry, it was sort of a picture book ending to remarkable careers. That's something that'll stick with me.
Like, I always say that the best moments are the ones where you see things and picture perfect. Like, I have to say, we had a picture perfect ending to our careers as managers. Do you agree with me on that?
Definitely.
Definitely.
That final game, it was sort of a perfect ending to a wonderful story to our managerial careers, especially me and Phil in this particular circumstances. After that game, after we lost, I cried during that game, and I never really cry after a loss.
At one point, you and me were like standing right next to each other, side by side, when we realized this was it, and we were crying together. I would say that was the first time we ever saw each other cry.
Yeah.
Because I would have to say the experience truly impacted us as people because we had such a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, I think I speak for the three of us when I say, we wouldn't be the people we were today if we weren't being team managers.
No.
Yeah. Because I would say that this heartache, the stress, the joy makes you a better person. The journey as a manager makes you a better version of you. And isn't that what it's all about, trying to become the best version of you?
Yeah, being a manager helped me become a better professional and a better person. If it wasn't a team manager, if I never worked as a team manager, I have no idea what I'd be doing today. I have no idea what I'd be doing right now. I'd probably be doing nothing. So, being a team manager really, really helped me start my life pretty much.
And like what was really cool was, so Danny had a rugby game during the season for lacrosse, and we needed a guest manager. It was the last and very only time I ever managed with Teddy. It was really cool to like get to learn from him from that one game and like get to experience this journey with him. Because it was
a very different feel from football.
It's two different sports.
Yeah, just the managing way.
Because it's a lot more like purposeful. And like I would say, like the way that Danny and I managed the lacrosse program was that every move we made had a purpose. Every decision we made was calculated. Everything we did, it was very theatrical in our decisions. Do you agree with me on that, Danny?
Yeah. I feel like our impact on the lacrosse team in general was, had meaning to it. I mean, we weren't managing the lacrosse team just to manage. We managed it because we love sports. We love the game of lacrosse, and we love working with people we love. And when we do it to help others.
And it's about spreading the joy. Because something that I'm very proud of in my tenure, especially with basketball, is that we spread a lot of joy to a lot of people. And at the end of the day, it's about spreading the joy, spreading the kindness. Because we need more people that are focused more on spreading joy and spreading kindness rather than hate and divide. Because that's something that happens a lot in this society. We need to focus on joy rather than hate and divide.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, today's day and age, it's all about division and hatred. You know, so much hate in the world. And one of the only things that brings people together in one way or another is sports. And, you know, playing sports, watching sports, managing sports, you bring people together regardless of what they stand for or what their views are. You know, you get together and watch a football game. You know, it's all about having a good time. It's all about the joy of sports.
I do. Sorry for cutting you off, Teddy. I do want to just jump in on something that Danny said. Sports is one of those few things that are like a universal language. It's a universal language for joy and trying to make the world a better place. Teddy, is there anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. I was going to say how your Yankees doing.
Theodore, this is a podcast about managing. We will get to the Yankee Red Sox talk during, should I say, the episode we might be doing in season 2, or should I keep it a surprise?
You can talk about it.
There could be a simulcast happening or a potential vlog of us going to a Yankee Red Sox game. Stay tuned for an episode in September. I think we've talked about a lot in this opening episode of this new chapter in Washed Up Managers history.
Yeah, it was a great discussion about a lot of great things, and we got a lot of insight about you and your managerial experience, and we're very excited to have you join us as our third co-host.
I'm ecstatic. Like, I can tell you guys that the conversation, like the level of depth that you've heard tonight in tonight's conversation will be the level of depth that you're getting every episode from now on. It's going to be a very in-depth conversation where you get to see the three of us, parts of us that you have never seen, like an emotional side, an emotional depth to ourselves that you have never seen out of the three of us.
You know, we look forward to more episodes with all the three of us.
Yep.
And so, well, thank you for listening. And this is the Washed Up Managers Podcast. I'm Danny Grant.
I'm Teddy Wachi.
I'm Phil Shankman, and we are signing off for the evening for this episode. We will see you on the next episode of the Washed Up Managers Podcast.
See you next week.
See you next.